Hi, this is Catherine, and welcome back to Taking Tea with Catherine. And this is my Freddie Mercury mug. He's back. And I'm using this one for reasons today. I'm drinking a lovely tropical mixed tea, which isn't very autumnal, but when you're in the mood for something, you're in the mood for something. And I'm in the mood for some nonfiction. I'm really enjoying my month of October reading nothing but Victorian literature. The one thing I should have done, though, is at least slide in one. It could have been during Victorian times, but one bit of nonfiction, because I think that's part of my diet now, So I'm, of course, very happy to present my Nonfiction November TBR, or at least some of the books that I plan to read during Nonfiction November. And Nonfiction November is hosted by, I believe, originated by, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so, by Olive from A Book Olive. So she's got a great channel. She does read a lot of fiction as well, but she really also reads a good and varied amount of nonfiction, and that's what drew me to her channel, because I love nonfiction. And it wasn't always this way, though. At this point, when I looked at my list of books that I've read this year, I had read more nonfiction than fiction, even though this month I certainly haven't. And I just like it. When I'm into something, I want to read about it. And I want to know everything about it, and sometimes Googling it is not enough. I have to find a book about it. And that's that. So I've done that. I've done that for quite some time now. But really, even though I might have read a little bit of nonfiction as a kid, most of it was for studies and not for pleasure. So it didn't become a major part of my life, like I said, reading for pleasure, until I was about 15, and I became rather obsessed, as I've mentioned before, with Queen, the band. And I wanted to know everything about it and its singer, who had this amazing voice. I wanted to know, and there wasn't much information available. And I didn't have internet because I'm an old lady. And we didn't really have access to the internet back then, or at least most people didn't. And so what I ended up doing was I did look through libraries, and I found a few things, but even that was still limited. And then I started, when I had money to buy books, I would buy books about Queen. And I bought one at Barnes & Noble, I remember, in the early 90s. And I bought, when I went to London the first time, I bought at least one book about Queen, because you couldn't stop me. And ever since then, and that's why, don't stop me now. I'm not singing, don't worry. Ever since then, I've always been a nonfiction reader. Whenever I get obsessed with something, and I get obsessed with things a lot, if I like something, it's all in. So I have to know everything about it, and reading books about it is one of the major ways I do so. I mean, I watch documentaries too, but it's not the same. I just like to, and yeah, YouTube. But yeah, I still read a lot of books about what I'm interested in, and man, it runs over a lot of different subjects. So with no further ado, I'm going to get into 4 books and then maybe another book. But I'm going with the challenges. It's sort of not a challenge, but I can't think of words. Prompts, I suppose, that Olive has come up with for this month, this Nonfiction November. So, which I think is great, because it gives you, if you hadn't made your choices, which I kind of already did, but if you hadn't made your choices, you could sort of use that as a way, exactly, a prompt, to guide yourself. And the whole deal about Nonfiction November is to read more nonfiction than you normally do. If you don't read any nonfiction, then one book is already a lot. If you're like me, honestly, 4 is not a lot, but it's still good, especially after this month, which I'm not ashamed of. I love this month. But anyway, so there's 4 prompts. It is design, sport, true, and voice. I think that's the order. Doesn't matter, right? If it's not in the right order. And I am, going to shoehorn them into my choices, or, incorporate it in my own way. We're encouraged to be creative, so let's be creative. Yay. So the first one was design. Now, when I think of design, I think of a lot of things, but one of my favorite things to think about is the lovely Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Oh my goodness. And it's a great place if you like design. It has everything. And also if you like history. Ooh, please go to this museum if you're in London. But anyway, one of my favorite parts, which will come as no surprise to anyone who watches this channel, is the part about tea ware. Not, well, I guess tea ware is part of the deal, but I'm talking about tea ware, you know, cups, mugs, teapots, tea tables, tea this, tea that. There was a great section in there that I've been to at least probably 3 times, and each time I can't get enough of it. So I find that tea has had a great influence on design, not just in, you know, the UK, not just the United States, but all over the world. I mean, way before tea reached Europe, it was influencing design in Asia and thereabouts. So, yes, on that note, I picked a book that I've been trying to get to for way too long. It's very shameful, but it is, this is a heavy book. The Story of Tea, A Cultural History and Drinking Guide. So I actually don't even know if they're going to talk about design. I know I've had books about design of tea, but I don't care because it's still, even this teapot had to be designed. The deal with this book is that I've been reading books about tea almost as long as I've been reading books about Queen, and I've read quite a few, but I bought this book, probably around 2007, 2008. I bought it in a Borders in downtown Manhattan, the one that replaced the one in the World Trade Center that obviously does not exist anymore. But, and I was very excited to go to this one, and now it doesn't exist either. But I bought it and I thought it was gorgeous. And I don't know if I paid full price because I usually don't, but I probably had a coupon. They had like crazy good coupons, which is probably their downfall. But look at this, beautiful Korean tea bowl and tray with a hand-carved Korean tea scoop, right? So design much? So I've been wanting to read this book since I got it, and it's been sitting on my bookshelves over many, many moons. I've bought so many more books since then. I checked lots of books out of the library since then. I just haven't gotten to it, and I don't even think I've read that many books about tea in recent years. And I think that's a shame because I consider myself maybe not an expert, but, you know, more knowledgeable than most people, you know. So I really have to get back into reading about tea more, and I think this is the best way to do it. And then if I really love it, I will move on to more tea reading and rereading. It's good. It's very heavy, so I'm not going to be carrying this with me. It'll be one of my home reading. But it's very autumnal looking too, very cozy. Anyway, so that's that one. It's by Mary Lou Heiss. I think it's Heiss and Robert J. Heiss. So nice little couple effort there. All right. The next one is sport. And while I say this is sport, it's not something I approve of. Now, way before I was into Queen, I went through a really crazy baseball phase in the mid-'80s. Really dating myself here. The Mets were in the World Series. They won, spoiler alert, and it was amazing. I got so wrapped up in it. I got so sick I needed Pepto-Bismol, but we're not talking about my hypochondria right now. Yeah, it was fantastic, but since then, although in Trivia Pursuit, I still managed to do pretty well in sports. I don't know how. I'm just not really into sports. I watch baseball occasionally, but I really enjoyed watching it with my dad, so it's not the same for me. So I really didn't want to read a specific book about sport. But again, sadly, one of the sports that has existed in life is fox hunting. Yeah, no. I mean, I am a Britophile. I love reading about British stuff, but whenever they go into a fox hunt, not cool, man. I know there's reasons, but I still don't love it. You know? So I saw this book. I think it was Olive that showed this book on her channel. I'm pretty sure it was her. Called Foxes Unearthed, A Story of Love and Loathing in Modern Britain by Lucy Jones. And again, very autumnal looking. Very, what's the word? Orange? Yeah, and nothing rhymes with orange, so. A little tea break there. I want to read this book so badly, and I've only had it for a few months, so it's not like I procrastinated as long as that tea book, but I have a feeling that it's going to be a little sad. I've been fascinated with foxes for some time now. I've been to London about 11 times, including the rest of the UK, but mostly London. And I don't think I've actually seen a fox in person. I think that's horrible. So, because everybody else tells me about seeing foxes. Every time they open their window, they see a fox. Every time they walk out, urban foxes. And we don't get foxes in New York that I know of. I've seen raccoons. I've seen possums or opossums or whatever, and various other things. But foxes, no. My cat looks a little bit like a fox. But otherwise, yeah, he's looking at me. Okay, back to subject. So I don't know if this is going to be a little sad about that situation, but I still want to read it, and I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy it. The truth about foxes, I could have included this in true as well. But it says the fox is a controversial creature in Britain, perceived variously as a beautiful animal, that's how I view it, a cunning rogue, yeah, a vicious pest, no, and a worthy foe. Exploring town and country literature and hunting, facts and fables, Foxes on Earth reveals our rich and complex relationship with one of our most loved and most vilified wild animals. So this should be interesting. I hope I like it. So next, the next one is true. I know this much is. I said I wasn't going to sing again. I really need to do karaoke again. I really do. Because I'm going to take it out on you guys, and that's going to be painful to you guys' ears. Guyses. So, true can encompass so many things in nonfiction. And this book particularly, when I was looking at the review on Goodreads, there were a lot of people saying that this particular writer, even though the book was good, that he puts a lot of his opinion in it. And I think a lot of times historians write their own opinion as well. So I don't disapprove of that, honestly. But, so I want to see how much in this book is opinion and how much of it is true. When I say true, sticking to the facts. So, yeah, a little bit of a reach there, but that's okay. Now, I picked this book specifically, well, one thing, I've had this book about as long as I've had the tea book, which is crazy. But I figured this is a perfect book to read after Victober, because I love corny things like that. After the Victorians! So, it's a history, I think it goes up until around 1950, so I suppose after Queen Victoria dies, and until then, obviously we're going to get a bit of World War action here. And look, you got Virginia Woolf, who I enjoy reading, Churchill, and yep, if you don't know who she is, then you've not been paying attention. So, the decline of Britain in the world. So, yeah, that should be interesting, though. It really should be. And I love history, I love reading about Britain in all its time periods, and I've had this book way too long. I saw another one of A.N. Wilson's books in, I think Barnes & Noble recently. He was writing about Prince Albert, and I thought, I want to get that book, I want to read it. And I said, not until you read this book. So it's another one of my big, not as heavy as the tea book, but pretty chunky. And again, orange. I'm really autumnal with my choices. Yes. So I hope this is a good book. It generally got decent reviews. So I think it'll be good, and I think it's got pictures, and I like pictures too. Look at this. OMG. So I don't know who this person is. Someone I'm going to show you. Because I don't know what I'm talking about yet. I like that sometimes. When I read history, sometimes I know too much already, because I've just done so much reading about British history. So it's kind of good that I don't know something. Because I like learning. Alright, so that was true. The next one is voice, which I tended to think toward memoir. I thought about reading another book, because I read about 10 books this year about autism, specifically female autism. I find it very interesting how it presents in females. And, when I'm into a subject, I read a lot about it. And so I thought about reading a book about autism, and I might still. But this book also is something that I find quite relatable. And so I thought, let me do this one. And it's a signed book, which is not, I don't go nuts about signed books, but I figure, it doesn't hurt. It's kind of, it's really a nice signature. And you're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So, I've shown this to you in one of my hauls, but Little Panic, Dispatches from an Anxious Life by Amanda Stern. So, it's memoir. It talks about this woman, Amanda. It says, well, I don't want to read the whole spiel in the back, but it's she's got apparently a lot of anxiety and panic and issues like that, and I don't know how exactly it relates to her, but I like reading memoirs. I love reading about New York. I love that. I've mentioned that before. And people who are New Yorkers, I find that interesting. And anxious New Yorkers, well, yeah. So I don't go into this too much. I try not to, but I'm a little bit personal lately. I've had issues myself with panic attacks and panic disorder and anxiety issues, and I think a lot of people do now, but that doesn't minimize one's experience. And I think it's good that we express ourselves. Not, you don't have to tell everybody every detail, but I think it's sometimes good to be open so that other people can maybe relate. I don't know. That's just my opinion. So I'm hoping I enjoy this book. I bought it at Books Are Magic in Brooklyn a while back. Not that long back. So that's interesting how two of my books are books I bought this year. And two of them I bought like over a decade ago. So that's kind of weird. There's no in between. But that's fine. So those are my 4 prompty books. And I think that would probably be enough, honestly, because 2 of those books are quite big. But you never know. I mean, because I figure I'm going to focus on nonfiction this month. And I might incorporate more books. You never know. But that doesn't mean that I won't read fiction whatsoever. It's not going to be in a TBR. It's just going to be a mood reading thing if it comes. But I might also read more nonfiction. I don't know. But those are the ones that I decided to keep right within the prompts, and I wasn't going to like find multiple books for each one because I keep doing this thing lately with challenges that I bite off more than I can chew. Like with Victober, I'm doing okay, but I feel like I should have read more already for some reason, and I don't want to have that feeling this month. So it's good to have goals, and it's okay whether you reach them or not, but I don't want to overdo it. I want my expectations to be a little bit lower this time, but to enjoy the ride the whole time. That being said, I have another one that I wouldn't mind reading this month, but if I don't get to it, that is okay. The Metropolitan Museum of Art is reaching its, I think it's 150th anniversary, I think, next year. I knew this before, but I forgot. So I would like to I haven't been going as much recently, which is crazy because as a resident of New York and thereabouts, I can pay whatever I want. They changed this rule over, I think, a year or so ago, where now, if you're not from New York, or I guess the tri-state area, as they call it, you have to pay full price. You know, if you don't have the ID that proves where you're from, even a library card is sufficient. You have to pay like $25. And now I know, okay, fine, you're seeing some wonderful things in the Met. I love the Met. But it would be hard for me if I decided I wanted to see one little part of the museum if I were in town, and but it's $25. It's hard. Either way, that's why it's a bit of a shame that I haven't been going to the Met recently, because I should take advantage of the fact that I can pay $1 if I want. So this book I showed you in a recent haul when I went to California, of all places. I don't know why it's a little bit sticky. But anyway, the Rogues Gallery, and that time period, what did they say, 150 years ago? All the people who were coming up, filthy rich people of that time period in America. It's a kind of an interesting time period to me. And I guess it's actually Victorian time, but we're not, that's not the point of November. But, so Rogues Gallery, I think I'll enjoy this if I get a chance to read it. If I don't, I'm not going to break my heart about it. So anyway, so that is my little, actually longer than I expected. I kind of thought I wasn't going to ramble as much, but you know what? If you want to, you could put it on, on a little bit more speed. I didn't have caffeine. So that's my choices, and I think I'm going to enjoy Nonfiction November, and I'm going to watch everybody else's videos that I can find about Nonfiction November, and I hope you guys follow along with me as well. If you have any comments on any of these books, if you read them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them, if whatever, feel free to comment below, and whatever you're reading, we'd love to know as well, although I am watching a lot of guises. I'm watching a lot of your TBRs, and I actually thought I was going to be one of the first ones to put a TBR up, because I got excited right away when I saw the introduction video by Olive, but no, I'm actually behind quite a few people, so that's great. I'm kind of in the middle, as I always am. So this has been Catherine and Freddie, and my other Freddie's right behind me. You don't see him today, but he's kind of warming me up. He keeps moving into different sections and being like a little purring thing. It's very cute. So this has been Taking Tea with Catherine, Nonfiction November. Bring it on. Have a lovely day.